really proud to be a partner organization and the nonprofit partner of Rush. And really wonderful to be able to collaborate with Emery on this tool. And we're really excited to have her here just in the opening minutes, sharing a little bit about this before we dive into our presentations from staff. So without further ado, take it away, Anne-Marie.
Thank you. Yeah, and Peninsula Streams is not just a partner, they are the partner. We have 21 community partners, but Peninsula Streams is the voice with Katrina's help, who helped get this going. And we continue to write grants together. We're prototyping on the South Island. And we have just launched a new version called What's the Rush.Earth. This is an open source scalable platform for anyone who doesn't know that already. We have interest from Vancouver, from Vashon Island, from Nanaimo, from Comox. And so we're trying to get to the place where we can scale this. And of course, it's a great piece of work for those of you who know about it, but the problem is not enough people know that we exist. And so we are running a region-wide pop-up quiz slash bingo game show until February 21st with prizes. We're in trivia nights with thanks to 60 Watt in the bars twice a week with a series of pop-up questions, but equally we can come to your restoration event with a couple of pop-up quiz shows and award some prizes. And then there's also this Rush to Play bingo show, and the draw for this is February 21st. What you can see on this side is a number of people, including Peninsula Streams, and we did award a Peninsula Streams baseball hat to the Greater Victoria's Green teams in the Dixon Woods by the airport here last Saturday. But yeah, and a Maria Souvlaki certificate. So if you go to what's the rush.earth and hit the Rush to Play button, you can download this bingo card. This is we've kind of grown up. This is our administrative back end. So while the Strait of Georgia Data Center has an even more sophisticated version of this allows us to give a code to a community group where they can start to visualize and set up their data set. So this is kind of this is big in that it allows us to start to scale when we're ready. And then this year, Peninsula Streams had a sustainability scholar who did stormwater policy comparisons across the region, which are rated in terms of fish. And so I just wanted to let you know that if you go to the page on Protect from Flooding, you can turn on the municipal stormwater policy layer, and then you can see which municipalities are leading in terms of stormwater policy. And indeed, we have a number of policy comparisons, single plastics, tree protection and connection, and other things. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that Sea Change Marine Conservation Society has been a great partner this year in awarding some of their funding to us to do more public engagement and helping people understand how the headwaters are connected to the deep waters. And so if you turn on in the Protect the Coast layer on the bottom, Sea Change Estuaries, these pop-ups come up, and then you can take a little trip under the estuary. And so we're looking at a number of different engagement tools. You can also listen to the birds at Maltby Lake. And our most recent contract is to map youth housing infrastructure in the region, which the indigenous definition of homelessness means disconnection from the land. So on that youth housing page that will be live January 15th, we will also have the stewardship groups and a number of things that help bridge that connection to the land. So it's not just about number of units, it's about skateboard parks as well and quality of life. And I'm going to leave it at that, but go visit what's the rush.earth and for a more by the spring what's the rush.earth will have the same quality of visuals as what's the rush.ca. But just want to thank Peninsula Streams for your collaboration through this time. It's very heartening to be on your team.
Awesome. Thank you so much for opening us up, Anne-Marie, Daniel, and sharing what's the Rush Initiative. I encourage everyone to go to the site and spend some time exploring the different data layers if you haven't already. There's something literally there for everyone. And I'm always discovering new corners of it as I use that site and being wowed by the amount of information that's at our fingertips right there that Anne-Marie and her team have compiled for everyday people and users to be able to discover climate resiliency in their neighborhoods. So congratulations, Anne-Marie, on a wonderful tool, and we're excited to be a part of it and continue working with you. And now for our featured presentations, staff reports, the moment we've all been waiting for. What have staff been up to all summer? Super proud of this team, really excited to see what they have to share. And they've been working extremely hard with volunteers, partners, First Nations, local governments to pull some really interesting projects off. So I don't want to spend too much time opening, but we'll get through a little bit of housekeeping and then dive right into that. Firstly, everyone seems to have wonderful Zoom manners. Thank you for keeping yourselves muted during the presentation. If you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll try to get through this and have some time for questions. If not, we'll follow up with some answers in the chat later. But we'll try to have everyone out of here by 8:30. Next slide, please. Yeah, very quickly, the agenda. You have to listen to me for a little bit, and then we'll dive right into the staff reports, and then we'll come back to me for some final remarks, and then you'll have a chance to ask staff questions. Next slide, please. And I would like to acknowledge that we are working as well as living in the traditional territories of the Wasanic people, as well as the Lekwungen speaking people. And we've even started collaborating and working out west with the Sauk Nation. And these partnerships mean everything to us. And we feel extremely privileged and proud of these partnerships and to be able to work with the respective stewardship teams of these nations on various projects and in different capacities, and look forward to continuing to building these relationships and developing new projects. Next slide, please. We're also extremely privileged to work across a number of municipalities, again, in different capacities, as well as with provincial and federal governments, groups, and organizations. Thank you so much to the support of these different municipalities who provide services to us and funding and resources, such as everything from actual cash funding and grant and aid support to staff time and expertise, and then council support as well as kind of lots of many different in-kinds wherever they can. And it's really wonderful to be able to reach out to our different municipal partners and have that support. And that carries over to the province and feds as well. Next slide, please. We are supported. About 70% of our funding comes from grants, and these foundations it's quite a diverse source of these grants, but some of them here can be seen, including, especially the Pacific Salmon Foundation, the Victoria Foundation, the Sitka Foundation, but also partners as well. And being able to have partnerships with First Nations and other NGOs provides resilience for us as well. And it's always just fun to collaborate and makes for better projects. Next slide, please. We also have a wonderful community of corporate sponsors. So thank you so much to the corporate community. Again, giving cash, but also donations to things like silent auctions or prizes for group meetings to make things more fun. At the top, Finest at Sea for always being there. They were our Watershed Warriors this year as our top corporate sponsor. Eagle Wing for being a partner, and we'll speak more to that. As well as Robinsons, who are continually supporting us in many different ways, and just all of these different groups. Thank you. Next slide, please. Peninsula Streams and Shorelines. We're quickly becoming, our geographic scope has spread past the peninsula. We have a long history of working. For those of you who are just learning about us, across the peninsula, and have since kind of over the 20-year history spread out south and west. We have the privilege of working in many different watersheds, again, with all of those aforementioned groups, on a number of different diverse projects, from stream restoration, rain gardens, tidal marsh creation, and monitoring, education, and stewardship all across this region. And it's been really fantastic. We all have the best job in the world. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. It makes means a great deal to us to have that support, and to see the numbers and the familiar names on the chat is really excellent. Next slide, please. Just very briefly, we'll all get to meet this team, but we are kind of a smaller team, although we're growing. We have about 8 people on staff, or 7.5, with Ian Bruce working a few hours to advise us in his senior role. A few newer faces. Allison Weber is joining us as an Enviro Support Tech. She's been with us for a while now, I think since the last staff presentation, as well as Steph. But we're super lucky to have those two join our ranks, and excited to hear about their work. As well as Katrina, super senior leader, staff member, while leading wonderful projects. Austin, our kind of Johnny on the spot field guy who can MacGyver just about anything. And Chloe, who's done a wonderful job holding down the beach program and adding some really wonderful and interesting avenues to that program. And of course, Sue, Super Sue, as we like to call her, our administrative coordinator, who takes care of the back end and just holds everything down. Next slide, please. And without further ado, this is kind of our lineup, and we'll just dive right into firstly, Allison. And Allison, let us know what you've been up to.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. So hi, everyone. I'm Allison. I'm the Environmental Support Tech with Peninsula Streams. Yeah, like Kyle said, I've been with PSS for about 9-ish months now. So I started in March of this year, and I mainly kind of cover the monitoring side of things. So today I'll be chatting a bit about our work this year on a number of our monitoring projects, including water quality monitoring, our View Will Park tidal marsh monitoring, and then our Colquitt's watershed bed monitoring. Next slide, please. So starting out with our water quality monitoring, this year we added a new sampling program in Ray Creek, or Quilset, to our roster of steward-led water quality initiatives. So that's been really great to get in there and get some new and regular data. We've also been working on updating our publicly accessible Central Saanich water quality database, which is available on Pacific Datastream. If you're interested, you can access it here through the QR code, or you can also just Google Pacific Datastream and then search Peninsula Streams as well. But truly, we could not do all of this water quality sampling without our incredible volunteers who go out monthly, many of whom have been doing so for years. And so, yeah, we're just so grateful for them and the support that we receive from partners like Pacific Salmon Foundation and the District of Central Saanich. And it's really through all of these amazing people that we've been able to create this really awesome and extensive database that we can use. But yeah, going forward into the new year, we're looking to continue improving just the efficiency and getting all of our data publicly available, as well as exploring some potential new water quality programs in some new watersheds. Next slide. So we've also been monitoring 6-PPD-quinone. For those that don't know, 6-PPD-Q is a tire-derived toxin that enters streams through stormwater, and it's particularly toxic to coho salmon and coastal cutthroat trout, so 2 fish species that we see in most of the streams across the peninsula. And we've been monitoring this in partnership with BC Conservation Foundation and Vancouver Island University's Applied Environmental Research Lab. And so through this work, we've been able to kind of pinpoint outfall locations that have elevated concentrations and then prioritize those sites for green stormwater infrastructure like rain gardens. So for example, the outflow pipe off of the Highway 1 overpass just beside Burnside, kind of shown in the middle, Austin getting covered in rain to get our sample there. So that site had levels above the lethal threshold for both juvenile and adult coho salmon. We recorded a concentration of about 1,300 nanograms per liter in August of this year. And so as of now, this pipe coming off of the overpass falls directly into the Colquitt's River. But with the current overpass expansion construction, a rain garden is being planned to treat that runoff before it reaches Colquitt's. And so having this data really helps us to inform potential locations for these interventions. And also that data we collect provides really valuable baseline concentrations that we can then compare back to once that rain garden is established. But yeah, and I also really want to highlight some PSS volunteers that have also identified a site in the Millstream watershed. It had an outfall directly off of the highway that was also repeatedly reporting high concentrations. And so we're looking into rain garden development there in the new year. Next slide. Another program that we've been working on is monitoring the effects and progress of some previous restoration work that we've done in the Craig Flowers Salt Marsh located in View Royal Park, supported by Pacific Salmon Foundation, the Town of View Royal, Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation, and partnering with Sea Change. So just for some background, some of you may know Canada geese have done a lot of damage to the shorelines of Craig Flower Estuary through their grazing. And so the past couple of years, we've put in this ecocultural fencing to deter the geese. And we've also completed some kind of some larger restoration work where we transformed essentially a field and created a little dugout channel to increase tidal inundation area, provide some provincial fish habitat. And then we actually used the sediment dug out from that channel to make an elevated bench and create more marsh habitat. Next slide. So to monitor the progress of this prior work, we created kind of a little research project focused on comparing a suite of sediment characteristics between 4 different sites. So the first one being that dugout channel I mentioned, the built marsh bench created with the sediment from the channel, and then the pre-existing tidal mudflat that you can see in the photo there, along with the established kind of native bench with a thriving sedge and saltgrass population. And so to do this, we partnered up with Sea Change's Resilient Estuaries of the Salish Sea team, who helped with all of the data collection and analysis. Next slide. So one of the main things we noticed was our plants weren't taking hold or expanding out from the native bench into the built marsh bench as quickly as we would have expected. And so we can use the data that we collected to try and explain this. And when we looked into it, we found that the built marsh bench was significantly more anoxic compared to the native bench. And so we think this may be due to the built marsh bench staying a bit wetter between tidal cycles due to lack of established drainage, which can effectively limit oxygen diffusion into the sediment. And so this may help to explain the slower colonization of these marsh plants. As plants establish, their roots will add oxygen into sediment, creating this kind of positive feedback loop. So essentially suggesting that the bench may just simply need some more time. The good news here is though, is that we're already seeing small patches of species like Salicornia and saltgrass popping up on the built bench. And we're also seeing the bench form its own drainage pathways as well. So all good signs that the system is kind of moving in that right direction. Going forward, we are planning on doing some more sampling early in the new year to kind of round out our data, keep tracking how the marsh develops. But yeah, overall, this work has given us really valuable insight into how the marsh matures post-intervention, and we can use what we've learned here to guide future salt marsh restoration projects as well. Next slide. And then lastly, this year we trialed a new volunteer-led program focused on localizing coho salmon spawning activity throughout the Colquitt's watershed. So yeah, we started this in mid-October and we're just about to wrap it up with it officially ending on the 20th. But essentially our red monitoring consisted of weekly walks along the banks of the creek across 3 different sections, and volunteers were essentially recording and mapping the location of salmon nests or reds to provide information on where coho are spawning, if they're using previously restored sites that we've worked on, and kind of helping to identify if there's any areas that we can prioritize for future restoration to kind of improve and increase available spawning habitat. Next slide. So we had three reaches, so three volunteer teams, the first being Cuthbert Homes. So they started behind Tillicum Mall and then walked pretty much up to Mackenzie Avenue. The second group covered Swan Creek, as well as a bit above Mackenzie and then through Hyacinth Park. And then the last group spanned the Colquitts River Trail in Copley East Park up to Lindsay Ave, and then they also covered Gabo Creek as well. Next slide. So in terms of our reds, we've had about 21 total reported. It's likely that we missed several there. Like that's probably an underestimation, just given the lower frequency of the walks, like they were only once a week. And often it's likely that they were overlapping or superimposed reds. So just because only one was visible, it could have been a location for multiple reds. And it's also probably partially due to the fact that often with lots of rain, the visibility of the stream bed is pretty minimal, as we've been experiencing a lot lately. But I think what really matters here and what we really care about with this program is that we were able to localize these spawning sites. So many of them were in areas that have a really rich history of habitat restoration, like in Copley East Park and in Swan Creek. And so that's been really awesome to see. And it's also identified for us areas that may need a bit more spawning gravel brought in the future to support more spawning. Next slide. But yeah, huge thank you to all the volunteers that came out for all these walks. So far, we've had about 45 different people come out and join us over the course of these past 2 months. And yeah, special shout out to our 10 amazing team leads who led these walks. And through their hard work, they essentially kind of laid the foundation for future spawning localization data that we can add to year after year. So yeah, super excited to improve on what we've learned from this year. So yeah, next slide. And with that, yeah, thanks so much for listening, and I'll pass it off to Chloe, I think.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Chloe Kramer. I'm the beach program coordinator with Peninsula Streams. I'll just be highlighting some things that have been new with our beach program over the summer and fall, specifically our forage fish beach spawning surveys and our European green crab trapping program. Next slide. Our community scientists have been hard at work over the summer and fall, conducting forage fish spawning surveys, sediment surveys in search of the eggs of surf smelt and sand lance, two beach spawning forage fish species that are really important for our coastal food webs. Our community scientists have conducted over 100 surveys, sampling 30 unique beaches spread out from North Saanich out to Sooke. We've detected surf smelts 24 times and sand lance twice. These numbers are right on par for previous years of data. We tend to sit at about a 20% detection rate. And through these surveys, both the field collecting that sediment sample, and then the laboratory analysis of that in search of eggs under the microscope, through both those components, our volunteers have collected over 500 volunteer hours, which is amazing. Our forage fish volunteers are super dedicated. They're out on our beaches year round, doing these surveys often in the dark and in the cold and the rain. So huge shout out and thank you to those volunteers for dedicating not only their time, but also their super valuable skills and knowledge to the program as well. Next slide. We've also been busy over the fall training new volunteers and bringing new volunteers into our program to boost our sampling effort and maintain our sampling coverage across the region. We've conducted 5 training sessions over the fall, training a total of 32 community scientists. One of these training sessions was conducted with the UVic Ecological Restoration Club, who has had their own kit and been sampling with us for several years. And every fall in September, when the school season starts, we do a training session to bring those new students up to speed. So we're happy to welcome them and the other volunteers into the program. Next slide. We also hosted a couple of forage fish egg microscope workshops for our volunteer microscopists. This was done in partnership with DFO zooplankton taxonomist Moira Galbraith out of her lab at the Institute of Ocean Sciences. This was a really great opportunity for our volunteer microscopists to fine-tune their skills in egg ID, as well as staging the development of those eggs as well. Hearing from Moira on best handling techniques of microscopes. It's also just great to get all of our volunteers in one room, mixing and mingling with each other and giving them the space to share their own tips and tricks that they've developed through this program. Next slide. We're always looking for ways to collaborate and work with other groups. And recently we've teamed up with Parks Canada, the Southern Resident Killer Whale team of the Gulf Islands National Park Reserve. We did a sampling blitz with them the other week, sampling 5 different beaches across the reserve. We found sandlance at the beach pictured here on the screen, Shell Beach on Portland Island. Also happened to be during Pacific Sandlance Week, an awareness week put on by the Coastal Forage Fish Network, so it was very fitting. We're super excited to continue to do more of these sampling blitzes over the winter in hopes of zeroing in on some nice spawning beaches throughout the reserve. Next slide. We've also been collaborating with GWAS, the Gorge Waterway Action Society. They received a small grant to conduct forage fish surveys throughout the Gorge Waterway this winter. We hosted a joint forage fish social the other week, brought some community members out, had some presentations on forage fish, on beach spawning, as well as the impacts of stormwater runoff on spawning habitat. We're also able to do a demo survey on the beach right beside us to show our volunteers how it's done, and that was great. Next slide. Switching gears here to our European green crab trapping program. European green crab are a highly invasive species of small shore crab that have unfortunately infiltrated our coast. They're able to quickly establish populations, outcompete our native crabs and shorebirds for food, and also heavily predate on our species of native shellfish. This past summer was our 3rd season of conducting this trapping. This season, we had a contract with DFO to conduct trapping throughout the Gorge Waterway in response to a first ever detection for the gorge last summer at Gorge Creek, where that green star is on the map. We were assigned sites at the upper end of the waterway throughout Portage Inlet, where those red stars are. Across all of our surveys, we didn't find any European green crab, which is great. That's the result that we want. The Gorge Waterway Action Society and Esquimalt Nation also participated in this trapping lower down throughout the gorge. And across all of us groups, there was only 1 single green crab found in the gorge this summer, in comparison to about 50 or 60 that were removed last season, which is quite a difference. DFO is kind of scratching their head on exactly why that is. They're having active discussions right now as to kind of some different theories for that, whether the trapping efforts last year were enough to get rid of enough of that reproductive population, whether the green crab have actually left the gorge in favor of other habitat elsewhere, or maybe they were just hanging out at deeper depth than what we were able to trap at. That's kind of the working theories. Next slide. In between those trapping events in the gorge, we also participated in a week-long blanket trapping event at Esquimalt Lagoon with DFO. Esquimalt Lagoon has had varying detections of green crab across the years, but last summer we saw a little bit of an uptick in numbers, which triggered this widespread trapping event in Esquimalt Lagoon this summer. So we had Peninsula Streams volunteers, as well as volunteers from the CRD and Esquimalt Lagoon Stewardship Initiative, out for a week long, turning over dozens of traps spread out all across the lagoon, with the goal of just removing as many green crab as we could, while also investigating where exactly in the lagoon they were using. We were able to remove several dozen green crab. Most were concentrated at the outlet end by the bridge. This was also a really great opportunity for volunteers to actually get to see what green crab look like in real life rather than from a photo or a diagram. Getting to see what they look like against the sediment and algae and in the traps, as well as getting to see the variation in color that these crabs can show, which you can see in the middle photo there. Just because they're called green crab doesn't mean they're always green. We do see lots of browns, reds, and oranges as well. Next slide. Lastly, one exciting update for this program is our new collaboration with Bottom Dwellers Freediving. We wanted to explore additional methods of green crab removal in addition to traditional trapping. So we teamed up with our friend Chris Adair from Bottom Dwellers Freediving to explore the feasibility of removing green crab via snorkeling and freediving. So we did a super fun trial day of this out at Billings Spit in Souk in September. We were able to remove 84 adult green crab from a shallow area right off the spit. Over the next while, we're hoping to do some more trial days of these to explore the feasibility of this throughout the winter at kind of different tide and visibility conditions, with the goal of being able to conduct regular events, building a community of snorkelers, educating them on green crab ID, and building their capacity to then ID crabs when they're out snorkeling on their own. Next slide. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you so much, and I will pass it off to Austin.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Austin Nolan. I've been with Peninsula Streams for coming up on about 4 years now, and I'm going to be talking about some of the work we did in Tatayat, Qualsit, and the Millstream watersheds today, as well as I'll briefly touch on some fish releases that happened this fall as well. Next slide, please. So we'll start off with Tatayat Creek, which is in central Saanich. It supports both coho salmon and coastal cutthroat trout. Recently, in the last few years, we've been primarily focused on the Heritage Acres property for a lot of the restoration work. The riparian area here has long been overtaken by English ivy, which completely blankets the forest floor. It climbs the trees, and it's created this monoculture of ivy, essentially. Our volunteers have been steadily removing ivy from this massive area, just over 3,000 square meters we're up to now. And they've been planting and removing, they've been planting native plants. And we're also seeing really encouraging natural regeneration of some of the native species in the area, like trailing blackberry and June plum at the site as well. Next slide, please. This summer in Tatayat, we also added several post-assisted log structures known as PALs to the creek. Each structure is created by positioning woody debris in the channel and anchoring it with posts that we drive into the stream bed, effectively clamping the logs in place to create stable habitat features. Next slide, please. Here you can see us installing the structures using a post pounder and alder trunks we harvested as posts. In urbanized systems like Tatayat, where natural wood recruitment is limited, these structures restore crucial habitat, where they're providing cover and refuge for fish, they're deepening pools through scour, they're hosting invertebrates. We're already seeing changes to the stream bed in Tatayat Creek, which is a very sandy system compared to the other watersheds on the peninsula. And I'm actually really looking forward to checking on them after today's heavy rain and seeing what changes have happened. Next slide, please. Moving on to Qualsit Creek. So Qualsit Creek is also known as Ray Creek, is a coho and cutthroat trout creek that's in Sydney and North Saanich. This summer, we were hard at work building 3 riffle structures. In order to create these structures, we added cobble and spawning gravel to the creek, as well as a lot of hard work shoveling and relocating embedded spawning gravels to the more suitable pool tailouts that'll be supported by our new riffle crests. We then wash these new materials and dirty gravels to ensure there's going to be interstitial space in the gravel, which is where the salmon eggs are going to thrive. And when we return flow to this section of creek for the first time, the water is going to remain clean. This dirty water we pump out into the riparian area to settle, which I'm sure the vegetation approved during our very dry summer. These riffles provide a lot of functions. They provide oxygenation, they backwater and deepen these incredibly important summer refuge pools that stay cool in the summer. They host invertebrates, they support the spawning gravel beds and keep them in place. They encourage scour downstream, and they cool down the water. So huge thank you to the volunteers who moved a lot of heavy material over just a few days. It was a lot of hard work. And also to Sydney Parks for supplying a little bit of last minute materials that we needed as well. Next slide, please. We've also been sort of busy protecting sensitive areas alongside Qualsit Creek by installing split rail fencing alongside some native plantings. With support from Sydney Park staff, we've installed roughly 300 feet now of fencing to keep people on the trail and safeguard areas slated for future remediation. These fences also create great opportunities for mounting educational signage, and they just look good as well in the park. There's lots more fencing planned for Qualsit and as well as some other watersheds like Millstream. So this is a great opportunity. Stay tuned if you're interested in helping out with this. Next slide, please. Moving on to Millstream here. It's been a super busy fall and winter in Millstream. Millstream, the watershed, begins in the highlands and it meets the ocean just below 6 Mile Bridge there. It supports both cutthroat trout as well as coho salmon. There are 6 fish ladders in place for returning salmon in the stream. Lately, we focused on some stewardship as well as expanding our understanding of the system through stream health assessments and installing some new monitoring tools as well. Next slide, please. So we'll start with the in-stream restoration work that happened this summer. We installed brush bundles. And brush bundles are essentially these really simple structures made from basically repurposed Christmas trees as well as conifer branches that we bundle together and tie to an anchor point, typically a boulder in the creek or roots on the bank. These features offer shade where the riparian vegetation is lacking. They provide cover for fish. When they're positioned on the outside of turns or meanders, they can mitigate erosion as they're pushed into the corners during high flows. They're a super simple, inexpensive, and kind of fun stewardship activity, which I hope to do a lot more with our volunteers in the future. Next slide, please. So an assessment. So Allison, Steph, Chloe, and I, we performed a salmon habitat assessment of Millstream Creek up to about ladder 5. We record many parameters, including things like the amount of wood, how much cover the fish have. We look at the creek substrates. Is it gravel? Is it sand? Is it clay? We classify habitat units into pools, riffles, and glides. We look at riparian health. We mark stormwater inputs. This all just kind of gives us a better understanding of what the creek is lacking, mostly through a salmon habitat lens. As well, this fall, Allison and I, we did a spawner walk along Millstream. While most salmon were still found in the lower reaches, we were really excited to see fish farther upstream than in previous years that I've been around. This improvement, I believe, is directly tied to the incredible work of our volunteers who helped us haul sandbags down into the channel, which was a ton of hard work to help us direct more flow into the fish ladders and make passage easier for the returning salmon. This walk also helped us identify some predator choke points, including a log jam, which we were sort of already aware of, and we partially cleared this summer to help the salmon get through this area. Yeah, these walks and this assessment just help inform where salmon are getting caught up, where we should focus on improving habitat, either through more in-stream structure, cover, as well as spawning habitat availability and quality spawning substrates and gravels. So just a better understanding of what's going on. Next slide, please. Other ways to further understanding of Millstream. So we've installed a hydrometric station, which is providing basically continuous flow and temperature data. Paired with our newly installed off-grid fish camera, this will help sort of pinpoint when salmon move through the fish ladders and at what flow levels they're moving through the fish ladders. We also worked a little bit to redesign the fish camera setup in the Colquitt system that's been around for years to continue to monitor returning salmon while reducing predation risk a little bit. We have hundreds of hours of video that we've already accumulated. So we're really hoping for volunteers to help us review it. So I think that'll be a really cool and interesting opportunity for those interested. That'll be coming up pretty shortly. Next slide, please. And I'll just finish up by briefly touching on some of the fish releases we did this fall. This was taking a lot of my time in the fall. We released Goldstream Hatchery Coho into a number of systems. This involves us loading these large tanks on these trailers with thousands of fish, and then we drive them to suitable release sites. We choose sites where we believe the fish will be able to do well over winter during these high flows, so places like wetlands, really deep pools, restored areas with structure. We release the fish through this tube, which is quite a sight to see as the water runs down from the road down this big long 20-meter tube. I sort of hold on to the tube for dear life every time and try not to get knocked over in the creek, and it's just quite cool. Next slide, please. And that's it for me. Just wanted to cover a couple things. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to pass it off to Steph.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin. Hi, everyone. I'm Steph Gurney. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator with Peninsula Streams. I have been in this role since the springtime, joining on in March of this year. So it's been a really great time kind of learning the education program and delivering it. So I'm going to share some highlights of our educational program. And I'll also share just kind of a little bit about our communication strategy, how we consistently deliver the great work that our team and volunteers are doing in the community and sharing how people can get involved. And then I'll share a little bit about our community outreach that we've been doing over the last 6 months or so. Next slide, please. So we continue to offer 6 core education programs, being our streamside education, bringing kids out to the streams, either just for a walk, talking about the watershed they live in, and doing fry releases, invertebrate sampling, and just generally getting youth outside. We have our watershed and salmon education program, bringing our water table out, talking about salmon life cycle. Our shoreline education is directly related to the beach program. So it's really great going out doing beach seines, forage fish sampling with Chloe as part of the beach program. We continue to run our Creatures of Habitat program, getting youth involved in stewardship activity related to restoration. Our Rains, Drains, and Gardens program has the focus on rain gardens and yellowfish storm drain marking. So we're proud to present that we have exceeded last year's engagement statistics, reaching 3,900 students so far this year. This number surpassing pre-pandemic engagement levels for the second year in a row. So we're thrilled to showcase the success of the growth of the education program in recent years, and we applaud the efforts of all of the staff involved in the program delivery in its various forms. Next slide, please. So across all of our 6 core programs, we've had 3,659 hours of educational program delivered in 2025, with Streamside and Watershed and Salmon Education being our top program involvements with over 1,000 students each. So this is a really great stat to see kind of coming in, especially for being new to the programs, not knowing how delivery was going to go. So these were really great to see, and just like a huge thank you to all of the staff and volunteers involved in the program. And just for some context, we kind of group our one-off programs as things like presentations. We do an annual presentation to the Stellies Environmental Sciences course because their whole course revolves around the Kiwanis watershed. So we always present on the history of the Kiwanis stewardship initiative and kind of show that what they're learning in school is actually applicable to our work as an organization. So that really great real world example for students, it might be school, but it could actually be your job in the future. So it's really great to see that. Or other presentations, kind of introducing students to PSS's activities. We also lump in yellowfish storm drain marking into those numbers and other forms of student engagement, such as this year we had a booth at Oak Bay High's student volunteer fair as well. So that kind of lumps everything together there. Next slide, please. This year, just wanted to showcase some really wonderful partnerships and collaboration that have been going on within the education program. We were really grateful to be working with the Peapack and Hout Foundation, doing some work with them at Sneakwith and their volunteer program. And through that relationship, they brought in one day, 41 students from Thawanu Tribal School to Make-A-Witch to doing a planting event. And on top of those, including those 41 students, we've had over 100 students from the tribal school to Make-A-Witch involved in planting of the wetlands and the Gary Oak Meadow. So that's just been a really wonderful partnership, and so much gratitude for being able to work with their team. We education programs also been working with Saanich Park stewardship team, being able to collaborate within our Creatures of Habitat program, working within the Colquitts watershed. We've brought 3 schools out to be doing restoration in the riparian area, which includes Colquitts Middle School, Royal Oak Middle School, and Northridge Elementary, where we've been planting and mulching and removing invasive species. This collaboration with Saanich Park Stewardship also brought students out to Panama Hill Park and the Colquitts Riparian for Tree Appreciation Day, where we planted over 40 5-gallon fir and alders. So that was a really great to see all those kids getting muddy with their little shovels. Also, we continue our partnership with the Rush Initiative, right now supporting their Rush to Play engagement campaign to bring by bringing our portable rain garden model and supporting their rain garden lesson and a demonstration while they're highlighting the What the Rush map. So that's been a really great partnership moving forward. Also, working with Power to Be has been a really enriching experience, being out at their Have a Go Day, and we continue to explore options for 2026 on ways that we can be expanding some of our education program on the Power to Be property and finding ways to be more involved as a site partner. We continue our relationship this year with the Ocean Conservation Education Action Network. That acronym is Ocean South Vancouver Island. This is a collaboration of local organizations working to increase ocean literacy. Members include the Shaw Center of the Salish Sea, World Fisheries Trust, Sequaria, the Gorge Waterway Action Society, Sea Change, the Northwest Aquatic and Marine Educators Association, Westwind Sea Lab Supplies, and yeah, through that being the ocean is heavily involved in Ocean Week Victoria, so we'll continue working throughout the community for Ocean Week as well. We had a great time this year working with the Esquimalt Nation Homework Club, being able to bring youth to plant at the Songhees Walkway Pocket Beach this summer, and then also offering 2 sessions of shoreline education programming at Portage Park in Esquimalt Harbor. Our Stream to Sea partnership was really enriching this year, and we're looking forward to collaborating again in 2026 with their assisted fry release. And Eagle Wing Tours is a new education program partner, and we are now a community partner as part of their Salish Sea Explorers program, where we offer streamside lessons on fish habitat, watershed health, and how to be a good steward. Next slide, please. So just to highlight partnership with Eagle Wing, earlier this year, Eagle Wing provided a generous donation of $5,000 towards our $15,000 fundraising goal for our education program. Through this, in 1 month alone, we were able to engage 200 students from 3 schools, including 75 students from Tillicum Elementary at the Colquitts River Fish Fence, and another 40 students on a boat exploration of the Salish Sea. 75 students from Mackenzie Elementary we brought out to explore Swan Creek and see some of Peninsula Stream's restoration projects in action. And then we also went on a tour with 50 students from Torquay Elementary at Pacoles Outdoor Classroom to learn about Douglas Creek and the rich ecology of the park. And such a great watershed to be learning about watershed health and steward and seeing some of the innovations that have gone in, such as the weir that controls the water. So we are grateful for Eagle Wings financial support and their partnership and for the opportunity to work together to inspire youth to value their place within the Salish Sea watershed and really showing youth that water and land are connected. Next slide, please. So switching gears a little bit here, our communication. So we continue our efforts to engage with the community through digital platforms to enhance our reach. Some of the things that we work on is we have strategy discussions at weekly staff meetings. This helps us increase our social media presence by having a plan. We work to have a cohesive organizational branding that helps that just like, you know the content you're looking at when you see something from Peninsula Streams. So working on that and keeping up with our seasonal quarterly newsletter, and then really working on our volunteer promotion through monthly volunteer callouts via our CRM platform Keela with corresponding social media posts. So you get those kind of reminders and it shows yeah, what an awesome time it can be volunteering with PSS and yeah, some of the great features sites that we're working in. Next slide, please. So through our community outreach program, we work to get out in community as much as possible and spread the word on the wonderful work our organization is doing throughout the community. So we continue our efforts to engage at various outreach events and promote stewardship actions. So our stats for 2025 showed we engaged 3,422 community members in over 20 watersheds. So we thought it would be interesting to try and collect some geographical spatial information on who we were talking to at community events. So we had a watershed map. Our question of the day at events was, do you know what watershed you lived in? And getting people to pin the watershed map. So then from that, we can conclude kind of where we are talking to people and seeing if people know the watershed in which they live. Some of our kind of key events, we did 6 outreach events related to Ocean Week. We were at Fort Rod Hills Canada Day celebration representing Esquimalt Lagoon Stewardship Initiative, where we also had the Esquimalt Lagoon watershed model. So having that kind of spatial connection, talking to people from all over the place on site. We attended Beckwith's Music in the Park. We presented at Sydney Anglers Dock Talks. We were invited to participate in the biodiversity celebration at Royal Roads University. We were at the Oak Bay Student Volunteer Fair, Cadborough Bay Festival, Heritage Acres Children's Day, Power to Be Have a Go Day. We also tabled and hosted mock interviews for UVic's Indigenous Career Fair. And then we also presented at the Early Career Ocean Professionals Mixer last month. So as you can see, just a whole bunch of different things and just really strategizing at being out in community, sharing how to be a good steward and how to take action, and just highlighting all the wonderful work being done by our volunteers and our team in the community. And yeah, just sending a big special thank you to our volunteers and our board members who supported at these events. It's really great to be out in the community. Yeah, and especially, having peer mentorship was really, really important as well, and something that we really look forward to expanding on opportunities at Power to Be. Next slide. So thank you very much for listening, and I will pass it on to Katrina.
Great. Thank you so much, Steph. Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. I am the senior aquatic biologist with Peninsula Streams. I've been now working with PSS for 4.5 years, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to be presenting today about 2 of the larger restoration projects that we've been working on over this last year, focused on aquatic habitat. There's one project, my cutthroat monitoring project, that unfortunately won't have time to chat about today, but I'm hoping in the spring can update on once we get some cool results coming in. Next slide. So to start off, I'll be speaking about the Make-A-Witch project, which is a really awesome project that we've been working closely with Tsartlip First Nation on for the last 3 years. This project is pretty big. There's a pretty massive scale, but yeah, it kind of shows some updates of what we've been working on this year, as well as show some results from last year's project as well. So just a little background, Make-A-Witch is a beautiful farmland in the Mount Newton Valley, about 78 hectares, that was returned to the nation. And over the last 3 years or so, we've been working on aquatic habitat restoration. Sort of focused, you can see the purple polygon in this map kind of shows where the creek and riparian zone is. So Kiwanis Creek that flows through the valley. And that's where we've been focusing most of our restoration work. The dark blue polygon and the yellow one at the bottom represent Camas at the top, and then a woodland forest ecosystem that we've been doing a bit of work in. But stream and riparian is where we've focused. So kind of looking on the right-hand side of the map, you see 3 different colored polygons that kind of represent the 3 different phases of the stream restoration. So the lighter blue was completed started in 2023, but mostly done in 2024. Massive area that was replanted. Then the lighter green is where we're working currently, and then the darker green on the right-hand side, there's our future project for next summer. Just a couple stats. It's pretty astounding, the numbers that have gone into this project. So aquatic habitat alone, we've restored over 10,000 meters squared. Big part of the project is removing this horrible invasive grass called reed canary grass and replacing it with native riparian species. So we've removed well over 15,000 meters squared of reed canary grass and have planted, I would say, well over 10,000 different plants, or sorry, native plants spread over 55 species. So really high diverse species that have gone in and replaced that monoculture of reed canary grass. And in order to complete all this work is, of course, the amazing volunteers. And just in 2025, we've had over 1,300 hours gone into this project. Next slide. So just wanted to give you a little update of how the site is looking over the last, since we've been working there over the last 3 years. So this photo here, taken in November 21, we were invited by Tsartlip to come on to the land and assess the creek and looking for potential restoration opportunities. So this was actually the first time that I was on the property, and Austin was there too, actually. And this is what we saw. So it was basically all the grass that you see in this picture in the foreground particularly, that's all reed canary grass, and it's the only species there. You see a little bit of willow on the right-hand side, but this grass creates this monoculture where other plants cannot grow through. So really low diverse, not great habitat, and just, yeah, really lacking in that biodiversity that you expect in aquatic habitat. And so if you want to skip to the next slide. Last fall in 24, we came in with an excavator, scraped off that reed canary grass, restored the complexity that you see in these valley streams. So building off-channel habitat and pools, focused on recreating habitat for coastal cutthroat trout, And then we did a really dense planting design to really try and prevent that Reed canary grass from coming back in. So a little hard to see in this photo because there's no leaves on most of the trees, but you can see the sedges and rushes in the foreground, and then lots of different tree species and shrubs planted as well. And the next photo that I'm going to show it really shows you the diversity and how amazing this project has come together. This photo was taken this last September, and it's just such a special place to be, to really see. It's almost night and day, really, the difference of that first photo of just Reed canary grass to this highly diverse wetland, riparian area. It's pretty special, and also amazing to see the amount of birds and pollinators using the habitat and other wildlife as well, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, pretty proud of this project and the amazing partnership with SARTLIP. I think Mike, you're on the call here today, my project partner. Yeah, pretty awesome project and exciting to see things come together like this. So seeing the success of this project, we sort of copied this and then moved it to a whole other section. So if you want to skip to the next slide, and you can start, this is a drone footage that was taken this last Saturday, actually. So it kind of gives you a little update of what's happening. So on the right-hand side where, oh, it's kind of buffering there, but where it's really green, that's last year's site. So you can see it's really greened in. And then the brown on the left hand is mulched area. So that site was, you might know it's a little bit jerky, but that's okay. That site was, all the grass was cleared off this last fall, and we're currently working in there right now, planting about 4,000 plants. And then the section that we're seeing right now, so that was an area where the grass was cleared. You see the tarp and the black landscape fabric. All that is to try and prevent some of that grass from coming back in. But that'll be the site where we'll go in next year and dig out another off-channel habitat pool, as well as do a lot more planting there as well. So kind of neat in that footage as well to sort of see where water's pooling and getting that really nice wetland habitat coming back. It's kind of cool to see that overview. Next slide. And of course, as I mentioned, we certainly could not do all this amazing work without our amazing volunteers. We were out there today in that atmospheric river. We had 4 tough volunteers out there with us in the pouring rain, continuing to plan as the water level was rising up on us. But yeah, it's amazing opportunity for folks to get out. And yeah, it's been some fun days out there. Next slide. And of course, with restoration, there's always challenges. So hopefully this video will play all right. All right, you can see here trail cams set up on the property, and we've got beavers. For wetland restoration, beavers are amazing, of course. They're awesome ecosystem engineers. A little bit frustrating, though, when you're seeing them take down all the trees that you spent a lot of money and time planting. So we're sort of figuring out how we're going to work with the beaver while also giving these plants a chance to come in. More on that later. Right, so shifting gears, moving down the peninsula, another project, stream restoration project that I was involved with this summer was in partnership with Saanich. And this project or this collaboration has been ongoing for many years now, well before I even started with Peninsula Streams, and is as a group, we've been working together on restoring a section of the Colquitt's River every year. So picking and prioritizing a section, and we restore it, and then sort of work systematically like that every summer. Over the last 2 years, we've been working on Gabo Creek, which is an important tributary that flows from Rithitz Bog, and then down into the Colquitt's River in Copley East Park. Last year, we restored 200 meters, and then this year we finished it off with another 170 meters to where it links up with Colquitt's River. You want to skip to the next slide? One of the biggest issues that we've faced in Gabo is this huge accumulation of sediments. And you can see sort of on the left-hand side, the top there, there's think it's me or one of our colleagues has a big long stick that's poking into this creek, and it's nearly completely full of sediment. There's some sections I was in, I got lost in there, basically up to my hip in sediment. So the deep water and like the pool habitat is completely lost from that sediment completely filling in the creek. We're losing a lot of that creek habitat that fish require, of course, during these, increasingly drought conditions that we're experiencing in the summertime. And so that was the biggest challenge, was how do we get rid of that sediment and recreate this nice deep water that fish need. The other issue was we saw a ton of trash. You can see on the left hand on the bottom there on the bank, sort of all this trash embedded in the creek, both in the creek and on the banks as well. So yeah, it was a pretty big project and a lot of sediment was pulled out of there. Certainly a huge team effort with the very awesome collaboration with Saanich Parks and then Saanich Engineering, their creeks and waterways. Yeah, an awesome collaboration on these projects that we work on every summer together. And of course, having the community come out after we're done the big in-stream project to help replant the riparian zone. The riparian section here was very invasive dominated. So blackberry particularly was the majority species that we saw on the banks, as well as creeping buttercup and some other species as well. So removing that and replacing it with a wide diversity of riparian was a big project, and a huge volunteer effort came out to help us replant the riparian zone here. If you skip to the next slide. So the 170 meters of habitat restoration, this included the reconstruction of 2 pools, one really nice big deep one you can see in the photo, where we were able to create a little island with some large woody debris, and we saw already an owl using that to hunt. So through all that, over 120 yards of sediment was removed, and we used it to create these really actually like rich planting benches that we could replant the riparian zone with. And from last year's project, we saw the plants really take off in this material that we take out of the creek. And then after the removal of the sediments, we replace it with river cobble, massive boulders to create habitat and complexity in the creek, as well as some spawning gravel as well, specific for coho and cutthroat trout. And then adding large cedar stumps as well to provide in-stream cover and habitat, bird perching, of course, and then other wildlife we see using this habitat that we create on the banks as well. Our next goals for this project are doing some major salmon monitoring. And so it's really getting a sense of how the fish are using the new habitat over the next few years. And particularly, in those summer low flows, are they using the pool habitats as we constructed them? Is spawning occurring in this? Gabo is typically more of a rearing habitat, as it's got very low flow and not a lot of spawning sites, but for those deep pools, the rearing habitat is really key. So yeah, we'll definitely be monitoring for how fish are using this new habitat. And with that, I am actually going to finish off. There we go. Yeah. And more, stay tuned for more on the Cutthroat project. We will be hosting a Cutthroat Symposium later in the spring, so stay tuned for that. And with that, I will pass it off to Kyle. Thanks much.
Thanks, Katrina. Right on. That's awesome. Wonderful, wonderful work from all staff. We've got about, 22 minutes left to kind of bring her home. I'll just chat really briefly on a couple of other projects we've been working on, and then a couple of housekeeping last minute things, and then hopefully there's some questions. And if not, then maybe we'll have time, if I don't blab on too long, to shake off early and let everyone go early. Next slide, please. I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Kyle Armstrong. I'm the executive director. I've been with the organization for about 4 or 5 years now, and in the AD role for about just over 2 years, I think. Anywho, here's an update on the Nymph Point Park Shoreline Restoration Project. This project came about from the work that Chloe was talking about through our community stewards, identifying hotspots of forage fish spawning, and in particular, Seaham Harbour up near the ferry terminal there in Sydney, part of the Shoal Harbour Migratory Bird Sanctuary in the traditional territory of the Sonic and in particular the Sycam Nation. And part of what we discovered was that this beach had really wonderful spawning. But when you look at the beach, it's almost a tale of two beaches, in which the shoreline fronting the Saanich Park, Nymph Point Park, has really good habitat, nice overhanging vegetation, good sediment quality, mature forest, all the things you look for in a good spawning beach. And then the northeast end of the beach is quite disturbed, as pictured in these photos. You have the Yacht Club, which is really nice to get married on, nice turf, lawn, and quite beautiful and maintained, but not a lot of understory vegetation or marine riparian there. A couple of nice sequoias, introduced sequoias, providing a function of shading, but a little bit lacking in some of the marine riparian. As well as in front of the marina, this derelict kind of log structure. The sediments you can see are quite starved, and it's skeletalized, not great for spawning forage fish. It also captures a lot of debris blowing in from said Shoal Harbour and the different marinas around there. Quite a bit of development in this area. The backshore is almost completely invasive species. And so we set about to try to do something about this. We met with different partners. The District North Saanich Project Watershed was able to secure some funding through BC SHRIFT to do some restoration. Sycam First Nations Marine Stewardship Department were involved. The Marina, Oak Bay Marine Group, was contributing as a partner and is continuing as a partner. And many others came together. The Friends of Saanich, North Saanich Parks were involved. And we came up with a plan that would both nourish the beach, so we're going to bring in beach nourishment to do the restoration, as well as fix some of the marine riparian issues. And unfortunately, because of the permitting process with the province that regulates putting things on Crown land, i.e. below the natural boundary, they've canceled one of the expedited process for restoration so that they can prioritize other things, including housing and the economy, which is really unfortunate because it was a really promising pathway that shortened permitting times for this project. And so that's been removed, unbeknownst to us, till halfway through the project. So with that, we've kind of been bumped down the queue, and we have no real indication of when we'll get permitting to do the beach nourishment work. However, thanks to our wonderfully patient and wonderful partners, we're still going to be able to do a lot of the backshore marine riparian work, such as remove that creosote log structure, remove the invasive species, and replant with a healthy marine riparian community. And as well as, next slide, please, address some of the issues in the park as well, including this informal pathway that folks are using to access the beach currently for lack of any other pathway, which goes directly through the backshore and includes a cultural midden site, disturbing that and leading to accelerated erosion, as well as trees falling in over, and we're losing these mature conifers. So we'd like to try to mitigate this disturbance by installing a footpath down to the beach to make the beach more accessible for people, while kind of removing this disturbance. And then at the same time, we've engaged with Hatchet and Seed to assist us in stabilizing the backshore with a wattle fencing technique of willow, and as well as a beach kind of nourishment and soil mix that we can use to kind of rebuild the backshore and plant into it to protect the midden site. And still allow processes like erosion to occur, but just slowing that and allowing a new community to come up underneath. So we're looking forward to that. Next slide, please. That work will be completed this spring. So we're really looking forward to getting that work done with our partners and bringing volunteers in to help. The Rain Gardens for Headwaters program is still steaming along, where we're looking to build rain gardens with partners across the capital region. This green stormwater infrastructure works to slow, cool, and treat toxic stormwater. And right now is a great time to go rain garden hunting if you're out driving around and seeing all these areas where we've got localized flooding and pooling. That can often, water doesn't lie, and gives you pretty good clues as to where we can build these surrogate wetlands. One partnership we've been working on for a while is with the St. Mike's University School. trying to find a way to build rain gardens on their campus. They're in the Bowker Creek watershed. And, again, water doesn't lie. It's quite wet in many of these areas. So finally, we were able to identify a nice little patch next to the rugby field and parking lot. And we've engaged students. About 125 came out to help dig this garden footprint. And over the next few weeks, with the help of the Friends of Bowker Creek and students, will plant this rain garden just in time to help capture this torrential atmospheric river. Next slide, please. Another exciting prospect for the Rain Gardens program is we've been meeting with the Gorge Waterway Action Society, as well as the Township of Esquimalt, and some other kind of gorge enthusiasts and biologists and experts and rain garden enthusiasts to discuss installation of a rain guard at Gorge Creek Park. And that seems to be getting some legs, which is really nice. Next slide, please, Sue. We've been able to get some conceptual drawings together and are kind of working through the process of securing funding. And so this is a really nice piece that we would like to move forward on in the near future. Next slide, please. I think it's been mentioned already. We had a Lily Charette join us as a sustainability scholar and put together a really nifty report that looked at basically stormwater management policies across the different municipalities in our region, and put together kind of this simple but robust rating curve or criteria guide for each municipality, and pairs it against a number of kind of standards, including the Stewardship Center of BC's Green Municipal Toolkit. Had some interesting bylaws that could be used to improve stormwater. So basically going through all the documentation, all of the OCPs of different communities, and seeing what pieces they did have around stormwater, and putting that against the different components that we'd like to see municipalities have around stormwater. It's by no means completely comprehensive and fulsome. It is a student's work over a summer, but is a really good start and kind of oversight and overview of being able to get a quick snapshot of where your municipality stands in terms of the different pieces, and how, as they update these OCPs and policies, we can see improvements over time, hopefully, and where we can, what areas we can focus on in terms of improving our stormwater in the region. So a really good first step. I'd love, Bob Pert and the SPEC, Science Peninsula Environmental Coalition, is doing some really wonderful work comparing OCPs and taking this bioregional approach, and particularly at policy. And so this is just a small contributive piece, I feel, but one that we can hopefully build on, not only for stormwater management policy, but hopefully if we get another one, we can do something similar along the shoreline. And this should just give and empower people with a little bit more knowledge about how their municipality is doing. Next step, please. Some quick stats. We've heard from a lot of our staff on just kind of getting some snapshots on different numbers for programs. This is a nice overview in terms of our volunteer hours. Volunteers are the lifeblood of our organization, as our staff have mentioned. None of this would be possible without you and the many, many different ways you contribute. And in particular, in this case, your time, which I know is extremely precious. So thanks for tuning in tonight and for doing all you do. Right now we're sitting at around close to 7,000 hours, similar to last year, which is just monumental and behemoth effort from everyone. And I'm super, super pleased and impressed by the level of generosity in our region for organizations like ourselves, but also the many other organizations, environmental and beyond, where people just continually show up and are incredibly generous with their time. We don't take it lightly. Thank you so much for believing in our projects and our programs, and for contributing so much to them and making them happen. Thank you so much. There's still volunteer hours kind of trickling in, so this number will probably be bumped up a little bit over the next month. But yeah, extremely, extremely pleased with this huge effort. Thank you. Next slide, please. In terms of fundraising, there's a couple of things to be aware of. We're switching up our effort this year. We won't be having a silent auction. We're developing a fundraising strategy with the help of some volunteers, including our board members, and with the help of Bud and Sean, who have really been sinking their teeth into this one, which is great. And we're just trying some different things, which is wonderful. And one of which was this really targeted ask over the Christmas break or towards the holidays. And it's been really incredible to see the community step up as we asked, and people have answered. We set out this goal, pretty ambitious, of 15,000, and just over a couple of weeks. Sue, next slide, please. We've been able to raise 14,300 already, and that's coming from a couple of corporate sponsors, Eagle Wing and Philbricks Boat Yard. So special thanks to them, but as well as some members as well, long contributing members, as well as some new ones, and some nice, really generous donations right at this time. And Steph, we were able to see Steph's presentation and all the incredible work that she's been able to do since coming on and joining our team, and really hit the ground running with the foundation that was there, and is delivering on some really incredible programming. And this is just so encouraging to see the community recognize this and the power of this, focusing on getting kids out with these really powerful experiences out of the classroom into nature, what's in their backyard, and experiencing it. And so thank you so much for supporting that. Grants really start our projects off. We get these harebrained ideas, and we hope people will fund them through granting, and it's really great, and we get them going. But your donations and the community support is really what sustains that and value adds to that, and allows us to put in that extra in between the lines, that kind of je ne sais quoi, where time goes, trying to get these programs going. And Steph works tirelessly, but it's great to have the support for us. So thank you very much. Next slide, please. On a super fun note, something new we're trying is that the Victoria Royals reached out and want to host us for a hockey night. So come on down to the good old hockey game. We'll be watching the Royals play Spokane, the out-of-towners, and something of a rival, I believe, on Friday, January 9th. So nice Friday night. Come on down. Tickets are $30 for members, or $35 for those beautiful, comfortable, amazing club-level tickets. I'm super excited. I've been buying up some tickets to put in my friends and family's stockings. I hope you'll consider doing the same. Come join us. Let's see how many seats we can fill. Both some of the ticket cost and the 50-50 proceeds go to PSS and our programs. So you can have a really fun night. Come say hi to other volunteers and network and connect, while also watching a really fun hockey game and contributing to us, which is awesome. So hope to see you there. Tell your friends, any hockey buffs in the family, or just folks that want to come out. We'd love to see you. Next slide, please. And as always, we're always looking to different forms of giving through the Victoria Foundation and the Peninsula Streams Legacy Fund. You can give through that in perpetuity to that account or to that foundation, in which we will recoup, I think it's 5% of that fund every year. So if you're doing some planning, if you have too much money kicking around, please consider the Victoria Foundation or Peninsula Streams. We can also manage that as well. But the good thing about Victoria Foundation is that they'll manage it in perpetuity, and your legacy can be our legacy forever, which is really a wonderful thing. So please consider giving that route if you're in your estate planning. Next slide, please. And with that, where are we at? We have about 7 minutes for questions. That's not bad. Thanks to staff for getting so much information out there. Again, thanks everyone for your support. It was a fantastic summer. Thank you to staff for just being amazing and working so well together, contributing so much to each other. Thanks to the volunteers for coming out all the time. Thanks to our donors. Thanks to our partner organizations and the corporate sponsors and everyone that just kind of picks us up and keeps us going. I think the work speaks for itself. There's some really wonderful, wonderful things happening that I think are just going to continue to grow in momentum and build. So thanks everyone so much. With that, I will open up to questions. If you like to have a burning question, throw it in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand online, we can do that. And if it's to a particular staff member, feel free to let us know who your question is for. Thank you very much. And if we don't get any questions,
I think Nick has a question.
Nick.
Hi there, everybody. Just a couple of quick comments. It was pretty alarming to see those very high levels of toxic tire compound chemicals. So we've just finished 2 days of Washington State, 8 hours of research. So it's great doing all the restoration, but if the fish, especially the young fish, are getting killed or impaired by what's coming off, particularly the highways. So I think we need to focus on this toxic tire compound and other stormwater. Thank you for that lovely chart at the end. And really look at the hot spots where the heavy traffic is and the runoffs are worst, which implies more work on rain gardens and working more closely with the Ministry of Highways all over this region. We're getting more urbanized. Our temperatures are increasing. And we really need to come to grips with this toxic tire compound thing. And on the flow, it's really difficult doing active beaver management, but they are part of the solution to our overall low summer flow problems as well. So, but this toxic tire compound thing, I'd like to see a lot more strategy around how we can actually deal with it so it doesn't undermine all of the fabulous work that Peninsula Streams and others are doing, because it's they're devastating levels of stormwater chemicals and they're silent killers. So that's my little piece. Thank you for all your good work. Another great year.
Right on, Mick. Yeah, thank you for the comment. That's certainly timely. I mean, it is the kind of crisis of our time. Luckily, or not luckily, but it's a great time to focus on that. And the good thing about 6-PBDQ, it is drawing a lot of attention into contaminants and pollution. Thousands of chemicals are released on the market every year, many of which we have no idea what they do and how they can react. We have no idea what this chemical can do to people as well as wildlife. Early indications from studies show that it potentially is harmful to people and other mammals, including the tests they've done on mice are quite disturbing. So, keep your dogs out of the creek. Another reason to keep your dogs out of these urban watersheds. We're focusing on rain gardens and building that program out, looking at stormwater, working to sample 6-PBDQ and get more eyes on the creeks and the salmon. Like to do more kind of education and awareness on the symptoms of 6-PBDQ and how you identify and observe, when we're having a die-off and those pieces. We'd like to work more towards modeling, like showing where those hotspots would be based on different parameters and being able to zero in and work with partners towards those. And we've got some exciting things cooking too with Anne-Marie Daniels that we saw earlier this evening, teaching at UVic on biomimicry for biofiltration cells. The thing about rain gardens is there's not always room. It can be difficult and in the spaces that we work in and getting the elevations and having the right size to build a rain garden. And we all know biofiltration is super effective. But what about those places where we can't? And so there's some interesting work potentially coming down the pipe. Won't say too much on it, developing stormwater filters and using kind of sustainable materials to do that. But yeah, continuing on. And the wonderful thing about rain gardens and other biofiltration and retention in wetlands is that they're solving a lot of other issues beyond 6-PBDQ, including other contaminants, urban heat, and the quickness, the rush of water to these streams. So we're hitting a lot of check boxes by building things like rain gardens and taking a watershed approach to our restoration.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Mick. I saw a question in the chat from, maybe I'll give this one to Katrina because it's a beaver question. How many beavers are there south of the Malahat, Katrina?
Oh boy, I don't know the answer to that. But we did see a beaver in the Colquitts just last Friday, which was pretty amazing to see, right under the overpass, like highway overpasses. It was crazy. There was like like a pile of garbage that we were going to be cleaning up at some point, but like, yeah, awesome to see a beaver there. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately.
Not enough. We need more beaver. Depends who you ask, I guess. Yeah. But that was a beautiful beaver. And yeah, that spot always amazing. We have hummingbird nests there. You know, there's a heron. It's right where this photo is taken, essentially, just downstream.
Yeah.
Spawning salmon. Just an incredible little wildlife day walking in the most urban of urban reaches of the creek, which is pretty wild. With the construction and everything going ahead. Beautiful beaver. Were there any other questions I missed in the chat? A lot of really fantastic encouragement. Thanks, everyone. We look forward to seeing you. Obviously, we're here and available for any other questions. Lots of things, events coming up, and we look forward to seeing you there. And otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Please share this recording once it comes out with anyone you think might be interested in joining us on our mission. And thanks everyone for giving up this evening. Stay dry. Thank you very much.